Hello! And welcome to the Vandal Factory podcast with me, Natalie Quatermass.
And I'm Henry Raby.
And together we are Vandal Factory. And on this podcast, if you don't already know, where have you been all this time? We talk to artists and activists about all the incredible creative stuff they're putting out in the world to try and make a positive difference through political lyrics and stories, community engagement, activism, social justice, all the good stuff.
So this is a special Factory Floor Cuts episode. It's where we talk to one specific artist or cover an event, or in this case, we talk to one specific organisation, and that is Commonwealth Theatre Company.
Oh, the incredible Commonwealth. We are big fans here at Casa del Vandal Factory. We have been for a long time. Commonwealth are a theatre company that are based in Bradford and Cardiff, and they make site-specific theatre events that are out in the real world, in car parks and boxing gyms and in people's homes and all sorts of places.
They put working class stories and working class creatives at the heart of everything they do. They work alongside with communities to galvanise change.
And the reason Hennes and I pootled on over to Bradford to speak to the Commonwealth team was because they've recently released an amazing book called Do It Yourself, Making Political Theatre, which we recommend to everyone.
You'll hear from 4 members of the Bradford team, and halfway through, we're going to play a song from their show Public Interest. Now, Public Interest was made for Bradford 2025. It was part rave, part call to arms about the racist and classist joint enterprise policy, which is used by police to target and incarcerate young people. There's no title to this song. It's just a wonderful piece of music created each night by the rappers and musicians at the core of this dynamic show.
And if you're looking for more Vandal Factory episodes to check out, you can listen to Evie Manning, the co-artistic director of Commonwealth, who also appeared in episode 11. And if you like your political artistic directors, we recommend that you go to episode 31, where we speak to Sarah Brigham, the artistic director of Derby Theatre, about the crossover between community theatre and working class stories.
Thanks so much for checking us out. We don't get any financial support or sponsorship for doing this podcast, so your support is massively appreciated. So please follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Share with your friends, give us a like, subscribe, give us a 5-star review, tell your friends, tell your pals, tell your colleagues, tell your co-workers, and if you really feel generous, you can go on Patreon, chuck us a few quid, and that massively helps us out at Vandal Factory HQ. Cool. Shall we pop over to Bradford?
Yeah, let's go! Commonwealth, whoop whoop! We're in Commonwealth HQ over in Bradford, and we are here to talk to the fantastic Commonwealth team. Would you like to all introduce yourselves?
Yeah, hello, I'm Ezra. I'm one of the creative producers here in Bradford.
Hi, I'm Evie. I'm the co-artistic director in Bradford.
I'm Saoirse. I'm Youth and Community Associate Director in Bradford.
I'm May. I'm another creative producer.
You have this amazing book, Do It Yourself, Making Political Theatre. Congratulations, first off. This must feel amazing to have a book that's just solid and beautiful and is a representation of everything you've learned and built over the last 16 years. Just how does that feel?
I am really proud, and I think I underestimated how big it would be, actually, because it is such a culmination of so many things. And I think it's also funny because people keep being like, oh, you wrote a book, but we wrote it in a really collective, collaborative way. So it actually wasn't that hard. It wasn't like I'm going away in a room and writing by myself. There was actually quite a fun, it was a really nice process. We really enjoyed it. So it's nice to see it all come together and that people actually are reading it. I think that's the best thing, is that we didn't just write it and put it out there. We wanted it to be beautiful because we wanted people to actually want to buy it and it not be like a kind of academic text. A lot of university texts are actually black, we've discovered. They all have like black covers and like really bad pictures. So we knew from the beginning we wanted to make something that was like designed well, felt good.
Tell us, well, you've touched on it a little bit about what was the starting point of the decision to make a book? And it is a how-to guide for theatre makers, but maybe to tell us a little bit more about who are you anticipating this to be for?
It's for anyone who wants to be creative, really, and make theatre. So it's open to anyone to pick it up as a bit of a how-to guide, like do it yourself, literally. Like Commonwealth began in that fashion and process all those years ago with Evie and Ree, kind of just being like pulling things together, beg, borrow, steal, ask your friends, find a space, get equipment together. So anyone, students, creatives, artists, anyone out there who's looking to do something slightly different can pick it up and go with it.
It was actually somebody who was on our board, who was the professor of drama at Manchester University, and she was like, look, I really want to be able to tell my students about you. And I think what happens often in kind of, especially political companies, but you're kind of so caught up in the moment, like of doing project to project. And I think that's how we've always worked, is it's like all the energy goes into now. And then we don't really think about like kind of lasting legacy in that same way. But because she was a university lecturer, she was thinking like that. And she was teaching about us, but she was like, I would like to have more of a resource. So it started with that. And then I think even though that was the impetus, as she was kind of talking about in a university context, when we had the conversations about it, we were like, well, if we were going to write a book, we wouldn't want it to be like an academic exercise. We'd want it to be really practical, which is why like a third of the book, we didn't want it to be like navel gazing, like, oh, aren't we amazing? Look at what we did. So basically, most of the book is like a practical manual rather than just like looking at who we are. We wanted it to be more like generous to other people, like what Ezra was saying, that people could pick it up and actually use it. And it wasn't just like, oh, we did some great things, because it's like actually a lot of people won't know who we are, like, so it doesn't really matter what we've done. Like, obviously it's good to exist and for people to remember things we've done, and I think that's why I'm personally it's a moment for us to be like, we have done so much, but actually beyond, if you've never heard of us before, it should still be useful.
In order to explain who you are, can we hear the manifesto? I wondered if someone would read it out to us and
take a line off. Presumably you all know it off by heart, and you recite it every morning.
Is it like the Scouts where you stand up and you?
Yeah. Do a line each. Are you guys doing it as well, please?
Okay.
Do you want to?
Yeah, absolutely. This is how you join the cult.
That's exactly what Molly said.
I'll just put this in the
The
centre.
most recent employer was like, oh yeah, join the cult.
So the Commonwealth Manifesto. Shall I start? We'll go this way round.
You start with the bold one.
Just the facilitator. Is that okay? Fuck capitalism. Fuck theatre. Do it yourself.
Make shows unlike anything anyone has ever seen before. Experiment and play with form.
Don't be afraid of being political. Respond to the here and now. Charge the work with emotion.
Work with people who have direct experience of the territories you're exploring. They are the creators and editors. Include people new to theatre.
There is wealth in your experience, your history, your knowledge, and where you come from. The stories you get told and the stories you pass on.
Process is as important as form.
Be an internationalist. Learn and speak beyond borders.
Get out of theatre buildings. Sites offer so much. They put you in direct conversation with people that you wouldn't otherwise meet.
Work with what you have. Build on what is already there.
Don't wait for permission. Do it yourself.
Yay! That last bit is in capitals, so we should all say it together. Do it yourself!
Something when we were looking through the book and like refreshing our memories for this interview was find what people have in common, find like what value and strength and wealth is in the room, and that isn't just in monetary value, but it's in like who's got a van or who speaks a few different languages or who's down the road. I wonder if you could, just talk a little bit about that process and that way of working, and maybe some of the examples that you've been surprised by, that you've gone, actually, after all these years, we're still learning these lessons of what we have in common.
Yeah, so like everybody we work with is incredibly talented and has a wealth of experience and expertise, and the starting point for every project, I guess, is everybody is brought into the room because of either like a mutual understanding or experience of a certain topic, or it's just an interesting group of people in a room and we want to find what that thing is where people connect. We recently did a show called Public Interest, and there was so much wealth in the room that wasn't there. We were working with some incredible young rappers. We were working with young people who've experienced the criminal justice system. We were working with DJs and Jengba, who Joint Enterprise, Not Guilty by Association, a campaigning group who just had such almost like an unbelievable amount of experiences, stories, passion, and like graft as well, about making change with the legislation around joint enterprise. And I think like my favourite thing about working at Commonwealth is that we don't work in a hierarchical way. So everybody who's in the room, whether it's artist, freelancer, participant, techie, whoever, they're part of like a collective way of working, and they all bring a real expertise to the room. And that means that some people feel really confident feeding into certain stuff. Some people maybe don't feel as confident feeding into certain stuff, like at first. But I think because of the way of working and because all that skill and passion is like nurtured in a really lovely way, suddenly our activists or artists, suddenly, naughty boys who have never done theatre before are telling the director what to do. And like, it's, that's the beauty of it.
We're called Commonwealth, so it is this thing of like our value systems and valuing, like exactly what Saoirse's saying. It's like valuing what people bring in the room, and like you said, like it's not monetary wealth, it's not material wealth that's important, and kind of really looking at how we talk about working class communities, and the language that's used is so often about like a deprived community or a kind of community in need. And it's like, well, no, actually in working class communities, there is so much wealth. And it's like looking at, like the best storytellers, I'm sure that we all know are working class people. You know what I mean? It's like in terms of theatre, making theatre, that's where it's rich, because it's the best storytellers, it's the best community builders. Like they're the things that are important to us and that we value. So I think it's, for us, Commonwealth is kind of also political in its existence of challenging our value systems and saying, where do we hold value? And our values vary so much in working class communities, basically. So on every show we make, that's what we're doing. We're kind of wanting people to see that for themselves as well. And some people won't necessarily have seen that their experience does have value in that way before. Yeah. And that's important to us to kind of almost... We want everybody to see that differently. The people who've got those, who have experiences, like there was somebody who went to prison for joint enterprise. She's only been out of prison a few years, and she was a massive part of making the show. And it's for her to kind of also, put aside any shame that she might have had from that experience and see the value that she can bring and how she can build something with us and build something that's got real impact and meaning.
It's not an extractive process. Like, we're really genuinely working with them, and throughout they're the editor of their own story completely, and up to them how much they share, how much they want to be involved, how much they want to be in the limelight. And like, it wasn't until we got into the show that Laura, who was the associate director, actually then said and did in one of the post-show discussions and said, actually, that character is based on me, and kind of had that confidence to be like, lose some of that shame that she's been carrying all this time and actually say that to a live audience and be open and upfront about it. I was just trying to think of, well, when you were saying then, I don't know it off by heart, but Daniel's recent quote in his blog about public interest, we had this amazing wellbeing worker Daniel on the show, just to kind of assist everyone, creative team, participants, crew, because obviously it's such a hard like subject that we were like working through. But he did this quote about hard to reach and saying like, so-called hard to reach groups, but actually Commonwealth are going out and finding people where they're at and working with them where they're at. And I just thought that was a really nice way of like framing the work that we do.
Shows we've done have can be quite specific, so it can be really powerful to bring people into the room where there's like a specific thing that maybe they felt that's the thing that they felt maybe that's made to feel them separate or different, and then they're brought into a space where they're like, actually we share quite a lot of things because of this like line of inquiry. And like example was like in Blackburn, we looked for people who were interested in fashion, and like that was the thing that connected people. But then the reasons why and the like emotions behind, or the connections or the politics behind that was actually quite different. But because they'd all come into the room, been like, I connect to this, there was an openness. And then I think with with public interest, there's this connection of potentially experience of the justice system. Understanding like firsthand maybe some of the like inequalities in trials and how the courts might treat you, and so that's like very specific. But I think the show then makes that experience, finds ways that people who haven't had that can find in common with the people that have. Like that's what the show does. Does that make sense? So like then it builds an even bigger in common feeling, because you're like, I always thought that those people that were on trial are very different from me, but now I've seen actually we like the same music, or I live in a similar area, so we know, I literally know people that know them. So I think that's the thing that like art and shows, I guess, can do beyond just talking, because like you can feel in common because of shared culture. Always in every show, really, exactly what you're talking about, which is like we go very specific on something like fashion to then be able to go to a kind of universal connectivity. So I think like that's very fundamental of how we work, because it is only through really zoning in and getting to know something. But like for us, a lot of the work as well is about, for audiences, like kind of shifting the dial of where we're at politically. So we're living in such a kind of, the centre ground is now extreme right wing, basically. So we're living in this time where all the media that we see, everything we consume, a lot of conversation that's in public discourse and on TV shows or whatever is actually quite right wing. So for us, when we're making shows, we're also thinking about politically how we allow audiences and the people who are in the shows to feel like there is a home for them that isn't this kind of judgmental, kind of inflammatory type space, which is often that right-wing world where it's all about judgment, and we're kind of creating spaces which are about understanding and empathy and people getting to know each other beyond like judgment, actually, and beyond a kind of far right approach. So, it's interesting because it's not necessarily that the shows themselves are left wing, but I'd say they're left wing in their approach to being quite open-minded and creating a open space for different people to come in and feel that they're allowed to say what they think. So for us, every show is kind of just shifting that dial to a bit more left wing. I mean, we are like, as a company, we're socialist. So it's kind of like, can we shift that dial away from so many other spaces that we encounter are very right wing, actually, even without us knowing it. It's so insidious, the way that right wing thought has come into everything and frames so much of our conversation. So it's like, actually, when we're making a show, we're interested in the content, obviously, but we're also interested in the conversations that come out afterwards and how people go away and chat and kind of might challenge or extend and deepen their own thoughts about things.
I've got so much to say.
Sorry, thrown a lot at you there.
I think one of the things that we love about you, and it's the same as Vandal Factory in that we wear our politics on our sleeve. It's, as we started with, it's in the manifesto. We're in, say, a culture where we're not afraid to say, this is who we are and this is the work we make. But something certainly I'm coming across in my own personal practice is with working class communities, is perhaps 40 years ago there was an assumption that one could make about a unified politics that is maybe not there anymore, and certainly I'm finding that I put my own personal politics on the back burner, even though it's in the heart of all the work I do. But I certainly don't lead with that, and I let it. There's tensions here. I'm coming across tensions all the time. As you say, as the right becomes more and more normalised, and the working classes are not a monolith. They never have been. But that's creating some challenges and some things that I'm personally thinking through in my own like creative practice. So I'll put that one out there to all of you to maybe discuss about any tensions or challenges that you're coming across.
The whole point of the work is we always say like it's about the here and now, and the here and now is like, you know, it's challenging, isn't it? We're experiencing a lot of conflict, a lot of extreme views both ways, a lot of hateful discourse about lots of our communities that we're working with. The more close work I'm doing with community and participants, you know, I am finding that like I think people are braver to voice opinions, and maybe we're in the age of social media, there's less of like a fear over your opinions. But I also think there's like a huge culture of like misinformation, and I think like my whole approach as a facilitator is around, I don't want to get on my high horse, and I don't think any of us want to get on our high horse, and we understand that a lot of people's political views are due to the material conditions they're living in. And I think that's why we're approaching with care. We're trying to provide space for honest conversations. We're not shying away, but also we're not afraid to challenge or call out with respect, with love. And I think like getting to the meat of why people are feeling this way, and actually encouraging that whole thing of like, if we have these honest conversations, it's easy to see we actually have more in common, the working class, no matter our race, what we do for a living, where we live, our postcode, you know. If we actually have these conversations, we can see we have a lot in common, and actually we should all be looking up. And I think that's why we're trying to provide space for people who maybe are in conflict at the moment. So we can get out of this whole misinformation culture of actually, I blame you, it's your fault. Actually, when we all are in the same space together and we're having honest conversations, challenging conversations, we realise that we're all feeling it, and actually we need to look up. But it's a subject matter we're going to be exploring very deeply in a show we're developing through R&D this year, which I will pass on to
Yeah. So, yeah, a segue into promotion. We're looking at the kind of polarization of political thought and the psychology behind that. Why do people kind of believe what they believe, and why do people so adamantly be like, oh, that's just what I think? You know, where does that come from? And kind of looking a bit like Sasha was saying about also the constructs around that, and like what is the media doing? What influences are there? What's social media doing? How do people consume media differently, young and old? And yeah, looking at how we question some of that and challenge some of that. But also we're really keen to do this in a way that isn't judgmental of anybody, because we have our politics, other people have their politics. But I feel like most of the shows that we've done, it's never about people's opinions, really. It's about their experiences. So I know this is different, but even the show about fast fashion that we made, there was people who were adamantly, passionately buying 2,000 items of clothing. Like they've got 2,000 skirts, or they're buying thousands of items of clothing a year. And then there's other people who were very much against that and, you know, didn't want to buy anything, but they were finding a commonality. And I think there's an interesting thing about left and right with this new show, thinking about actually lots of us are critical about the state. Just it comes out in a different way. People are critical about the media. Again, it just comes out in a different way. So kind of trying to think about how we approach these things and find a commonality, and also just listen. And that's like our role as facilitators as well, is to go in and listen. But also, you know, we're theatre makers, so we're trying to kind of find the artistic way to present some of the stuff that we're all grappling with. It's quite a hard subject, and it's a hard time we find ourselves in. But we're like, actually, how do we navigate this? But how do we also work creatively with some of this like big political thought, even just in a way to make it more digestible to ourselves? I think always these lines of inquiry are about, like, you know, we're trying to understand something as well, and that's kind of what it all starts off on. We don't know what we're going to say at the beginning. Like, we don't know what it's going to really do or say, but you kind of go on an investigation in a way when you make a piece. So we're really early days with it. So we're kind of like we know this is a territory we want to look at, is this kind of polarisation and psychology in the media, but we don't know where it'll end up.
I'm excited by this one. It's a scary one as well, though, because I think it's going to test us and put us out of our comfort zone a little bit as well. Like, obviously, we're comfortable in what we do, and the book's a great example of that because it's got all the tools and methods in that we'll use to go on this investigation. But I think, yeah, it's hard with your own politics, isn't it? And I think that's going to be a test with this one to work with people that have really different views to us and how we kind of manage that space and be in that space, but also really like give people that space to have those opinions and like share them. Like I think, yeah, in this age that we're all in, I kind of agree that it is a good thing that people are becoming more opinionated, because no matter whether you believe that opinion or not, it's like people are actually having the space now to say their feelings, emotions, thoughts, whether that's like young people on social media or old people, like giving them that space to have those conversations and put it out there, and for us to kind of facilitate that.
If you don't let it out in the room, then it's going to pop out in funny places, or it's going to be like feel unsafe. And I guess like it is going to be a push for us and all of our practices to really be able to hold that space. And like we've started having these conversations as a staff team. We like rely on each other a lot. Like, what do we think about this? Would we like this? And often we're thinking about what kind of like, I don't know, training there is available, or really good examples of where this has happened, or projects that do bridge divide, bring people in. And it's rare actually. And so it's really exciting and like just real, I guess, to try and let it in. It's kind of been, I feel like it's told us that we need to do a show about this, like through our through everything else we've been doing. It's it's kind of like how you were like, how could we not be exploring this? Like, we're calling ourselves a political theatre company. Look at what politics is doing now. So yeah, I think it's scary, but yeah, it's good.
Scary, good, exciting.
Yo, I only hear talk about fairness, but I don't see it. Talk about safety, but I don't feel it. The man them have a libraries thrown at them from people who don't have feelings. I've seen this cycle of the system don't trust me, so how can I put trust in it? Cause if I tell them anything, a book us in it. Clipped at the head, they own the glass ceiling.
So what is a joint and a price? What do you mean he worked there that night? How can you say it was a part of that fight when the proof's right there? You can see it with your own two eyes. How many sent down, never got released? I tell you now, it's corrupted police. Could have been you, or it could have been me. It could have been her, or it could have been a... What you think's going through all the heads of them innocent souls getting put on a stretch? What you think's going through a mother's head when her daughter's getting sent down for a death? What you think's gonna come from the press when they got a good story and it's making them bread? What you think all the kids have gone that were playing on them parks and they made bare memes?
Guilty until proven innocent. But they don't want to prove us innocent. After 6 years, they've been in the evidence. Show me the proof, show me the fingerprints. 93% is men. Don't think it can't happen to you, blood. POC's more likely to feel it. Don't think it can't happen to you, blood.
Could have been me, could have been us, could have been different. Didn't have to be this way. Could have been me, could have been us, could have been different. Didn't have to be this way, didn't have to be this way.
It could have been us, could have been them, could have been you and a few of your friends. And if you can't comprehend, I've said it one time and I'll say it again, like it could have been you, could have been them, could have been us and a few of our friends. If you still can't comprehend, I've said it once more and I'll say it again.
They wanna take my freedoms like they wanna dim my shine. They wanna hold me hostage with a sentence carrying life. How many more sitting inside for a blade and they never carry the knife? They just got it wrong, but life goes on. Gee, whatever happened to rest?
Everyone knows that we're faced with a broken system. Still I don't see no difference. Thereby in the hands of our brothers and sisters, they take their stories and twist them. Disproportionately black, so when I see melanin they don't see victim. That's why we gotta spread awareness. That's why we make it our mission.
Just to make them listen, what makes us different shouldn't make no difference to a sentence given. Judged by all guys with closed minds and need better vision. Can't have trust up in the system when constantly they're inconsistent. All these closed cases, yet the proof's missing. That's why Jenga got us on a new mission.
What? We're not done. We're not stand together as one. On the way to hunt and confront. It's the system making us run. Wait, what? Ain't over. We don't wanna see our face on a poster. Or changing justice to over. But justice ain't what it's supposed to.
Look, yo, let's go. Joint enterprise on my mind, you can still get life if it ain't involved. Been 2 years since I've been on road, and I still got guys who ain't seen them roads. HMP is their fix up bold. So I got bind that sticks, no stones. I was confined, praise God, man's home. I hope things change in Parliament. They didn't want to hear our side, like with the King's Council's arguments. Like I was in a dock all arguing. Manslaughter's holding a minimum 10. So I'm not guilty straight to the end. Ended up on the playlist again, and they know man's face feeling famous again.
Still trying to take our freedom. but they will never take our pride. Still trying to hold us hostage. We just trying to change our lives.
I mean, something I was just wondering as we were chatting is you said, first and foremost, we're a theatre company. And I was like, actually, we've not talked about what a Commonwealth show feels like. And, I went to see Public Interest and it was like a big sort of party, a gig. It was full of movement and energy and it was frenetic. And I just wondered if you could summarise, like, just for the listener who hasn't seen a show, like actually what it means when all this stuff happens behind the scenes, but what the audiences feel like when they come and see, what you want them to feel like when they come and see a Commonwealth show.
It's good that you said how our audience feel, because I think, one of the really key things is working with emotions and thinking about how our audience want to feel. Because when you are dealing with topic-based stuff, it's like you don't want people to come out thinking, did I learn enough? Am I right? And it's about feeling along with real people who have something to tell us, basically. So an emotional score is a way to think about the different stages of a show. So there will often be like different experiences that people can have in the room. So it might be because you can go to different parts of the room, or something wouldn't necessarily connect with you. There's like it's quite varied, I guess, a show, and it'll take you through a journey. We always work with people who are affected by the issue that we're talking about. We mostly work not in theatres, in a site that's like relevant or accessible or will be part of the show. So like there's been stuff in boxing gyms, car parks, houses. We always run a campaign alongside the show. So there's this kind of real world connection all the time that's kind of, what's on stage is also what's happening outside. We think a lot about the audience as well. So like when you come to a show, you have this feeling of like coming as a group to witness and be in an experience. So depending on what the show was, like the last one, we were really keen to bring a lot of young people and people who might be more affected or like in danger of being impacted by the criminal justice system. So we had young people and youth groups in, which made this like bouncy audience, which made it feel like a gig. And so, the atmosphere is really important as well as like the words that are said in the room.
I really like that we kind of break out of this like stereotypical community theatre like box, because we employ really shit hot lighting and sound designers. We get the big sound systems in. We create beautiful, immersive, sensory spaces that hold the kind of heavy topic or uplift the people that we're working with. And I think atmosphere is a really big one. Whether we're working in a really tender, soft kind of way, and we're creating like gentle honesty, or we're putting all the fog in and the music's really loud and everyone's dancing and we feel like we're at a gig. It's really about like sending the audience there on a journey with the participants, with the performers and with the story.
Mainly because of resources, but we're in a position now that we have got the resources, but like a lot of the time for what is considered a community theatre, it's like, basically people are quite exposed. Like they'll often just be talking in a kind of community hall. There's no lighting. There isn't a good sound system. They don't have a good mic. And our thing is like, if we're working with people who might never, ever have stepped on stage before, we have to give them the most artistic support that you can. So we have to give them like, beautiful visuals and really good set design and thinking about costume, and all those things are like how someone lands and appears in a space. But also for an audience, they're often, our big thing, like we say it in the manifesto, but is try and make something you've never seen before. And I think for us to always experiment. So the last show, Public Interest, we made a music video. In the show, we've done a catwalk. We've done, it's always quite immersive and actions happening around you. But then we're also challenging ourselves and thinking, how do we push and play more with artistic form? And I think that's important for an audience as well, because a lot of the time, either audiences just don't go to the theatre at all, which is our that's our like key audience, or people who have gone to the theatre but they've gone to like a musical, or they've gone to something that's quite traditional and is quite passive. So we want to make our audience feel activated, but we also do want to inspire them and like show them amazing kind of design aesthetics, and kind of be like, oh, this is what theatre can be, and it is experiential and it is immersive and it is actually like quite impressive like production design, and it kind of stretches all our imaginations a bit more, and offers hope and feeling and all those things. But it's kind of like how we doing that for the performers who are in that show need that elevation, but also for the audience that working class people do deserve the best as well. And we deserve like really amazing sound systems and really good designers. And we want it to be quite kind of high end in a way, which isn't necessarily how we started. When we started very DIY, but we always, we were always thinking about design. We were always thinking about visuals. Like,
still did it in the early days.
Yeah, just without any money.
Like, we are a resource now, but like I'm thinking like Juniper Tree, like was still really immersive, and that was so DIY. Was it Beg, Borrow, Steal? Like?
Totally. I mean, our Glass House. I mean, both those shows were supremely visual, and it's because like, especially at that time, we were kind of in our early 20s. We knew a lot of people who were really creative, who wanted to do something. And it was like a kind of ideas generator because it was in multiple rooms. We had one person who came to a show, this show called The Juniper Tree. It had 17 rooms. I mean, the whole show cost $2,000. But he came in and was like, oh yeah, I've got a fox mask and I play keyboard. Can I just play in the forest? And then the rest of the shows, he was just playing in the forest. And it was that kind of like ease to it, which I kind of want to bring back because I'm like, actually, there was like someone would just have an idea. Like I remember it was often just like, you sat around with your mates and then someone's like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if the door numbers are the statistics for domestic abuse statistics, but they're the door numbers. And then that became a massive thing. But it was almost like we weren't that precious, like, because we had all these different spaces. So someone would be like, oh, I love spoons. So when the show went on to our Glass House, it was about domestic abuse and it took place in residential houses. The audience let themselves in with a key. And they'd walk around the house and the whole experience was about, hearing through the walls. It wasn't necessarily, we never showed violence. It was more about the emotional feelings of why people stay, from love, fear and control, and then how they leave. But each room was an installation. And someone would come, because we toured around the country to different houses, and be like, oh, I just want to make a little peep show house, and you look through the windows and it's all lit up. And we were like, yeah, great, you take that cupboard. And it really was like that. And even my neighbours sometimes would be like, oh, I've got this really cool thing. And then we just put a light on it and then straight away you've got an installation. And I think there was a real playfulness, which in a way, that's what was good about writing the book, is it kind of reminds us of those early days and being like, oh, I want to kind of bring that back, because you can get, in a way, it's interesting because it's like, you want to pay everyone, and we've always really believed in paying people, except for the early days when we had no money. But now that you pay everyone, it does put other limitations, because then you're like, oh, how can we allow for that much flexibility and that kind of DIY quality where someone turns up and says, I want to be a fox, but then be like, oh, we've got the budget for that fox. Do you know what I mean? Because you want to make sure they're paid as well. So it's trying to find that balance between keeping the kind of openness of a do-it-yourself aesthetic, because there is a kind of philosophy behind that. So it's like keeping the philosophy of that, but also keeping our, credentials as a professional company that we will allow space to pay people. So our next show, sorry, I'm just totally going off on one, but is like immersive and multi-room. So I think we are interested in working with artists in different ways for that. But it's a challenge for us around like, if you professionalise, how do you not lose sight of that kind of DIY instinct?
That's like the challenge as a producer. It's like trying to find spaces where it's like safe, but there can be risks, and you might want to change something the night before, or someone, because they're telling their actual story, might not want to do it on the day, and like being able to be open to that kind of like flexibility, and then like stretch budgets, move things around. And it's like hard but exciting, I guess, and like a lot of the stuff isn't necessarily out. Like, think how much the world's changed since you were doing that, and all the like permissions and licensing, and like it's mad. Like, it's actually so hard to do something somewhere different. Like, people want to see the script beforehand. Like, there's trigger warning. Of course, these things like are needed, but like when you add it all up, there's like a lot of kind of needing to know in advance, or being able to really articulate it properly, or having, plan A, B, C, D, all if things go wrong. And I think that is a push for us, isn't it? As like a small company that want to work with our heart and want to like meet people where they're at, that it does get gnarly when you then try and make it safe, and like make sure that people, even just like persuading someone we want to do like this amount of free tickets because the audience are really important, that isn't always easy because the theatres need their money to survive, or people, So it's, there's like little bits of activism, isn't there, in every single kind of step that you're trying to do. It's negotiating. Yeah.
Sounds grand, but with this book and just kind of what we're talking about, the fact that we exist, actually, it's like we're trying to change the theatre industry as well, kind of from within. Like, we don't actually give a shit about the theatre world, but it's kind of showing that it can be done differently. And I think that's where I'm proud that as a company we've managed to grow. We've been going for 17 years, and it's like actually trying to kind of say things can be done differently, and we will keep trying to do that. We don't want to get complacent and lazy and be like, oh yeah, we've got our formula and this is just what we do every time. It's like actually holding ourselves true to our values, and some of those values are literally 17 years old and the world's changed, but how do we keep the quality of that?
What you've touched upon, the little bits of activism that's in every act that you make, or building a campaign that goes alongside every show. And I love this section of the book that talks about the ripples beyond the political performance itself and its impact going on after the show and around the show. Can you tell us perhaps a bit more explicitly about, is there an example or something that you can describe to our listeners that is a ripple that's gone beyond the political performance itself?
Yeah, I'll start because I've got a little example, but I know Evie's got a couple of bigger examples, like some of the earlier work. But in the fast fashion show that we've mentioned that we did a couple of years ago in Blackburn for the British Textile Biennial, they wanted a co-created project, and due to COVID, all that, it was all a bit delayed, but eventually once we got over there to begin it, Evie and May worked with a company called The Revival in Ghana, and actually went out to visit Cantamanto Market and see the clothes mountain of just where all our waste is going. And I think the ripples from that is still felt from our audiences, like the people that came to see it. Still, even now, have conversations with people, be like, since that show, I haven't done this, I haven't bought there, I haven't done online shopping, I haven't been... So basically, at the end of the show, everyone got an email of being like, what can you do? So, we've told you all this information, but actually what are the changes that you can make? Here's a list of things you can do. And one of the little examples is kind of, we didn't hear about this at all later, is that one of the councillors in Bradford had been to see the show, because we did it in Blackburn and we brought it over to Bradford. And they'd been to see the show and we didn't know, and then they actually brought it up in Bradford Council as kind of how Bradford Council managing its fast fashion waste, and put it in as a talking point. And then they were putting some procedures in place for kind of local shops, factories, that sort of thing. So it's like those little things that you hear about a bit time after that an audience member's been, and that's just one example. That other people out there are doing different things as well. But then there's been some bigger ripples, hasn't there? Like early work with Peaceophobia and
So we've had things that it's often about who we get in the room, which is deliberate as well. That's also part of the activism, like what May was saying, is like for Peaceophobia, the show was about modified car culture and Islamophobia. At the time when we started making the show, car meets were totally illegal. Like, they'd meet up in Aldi car park, the police would come and break it up. They'd have had 15 minutes where they were just showing each other's engines and sound systems, and then the police would come and break it up. Through making the show, we invited the police to see it, because there was a lot of, obviously it's about Islamophobia, there was quite a lot of reference to the state and the police and how they were policing young Muslim men in particular. And then after that, the Chief Commissioner for West Yorkshire Police basically invited Ali, who runs the car club, in to talk and to say, how can we build better relations? And then through that process of that conversation, they've legalised car meets in Bradford, and that's actually massively significant, because it's legitimised something that is about community. And it's about building communities of young men, predominantly Muslim, but not necessarily. But actually now what Ali's been doing with that is he's been planning car meets in like the university, at Bradford City Football Club Stadium. Like, he's been able to do it in such a more structured way, and it has literally become like a community organising thing for him. So they'll do fundraisers, they'll do like community development stuff. Like, it's genuinely like, it's almost started this kind of community movement. When we made Our Glass House, the show about domestic abuse, and we staged it in Scotland, well, that show, to be honest, had loads of ripples that we'll never know about, because it was a training. It was always paid for from a kind of training budget from the local council, local NHS and the local police. And then they would get social workers, midwives, health workers to come and see the show. So there was lots of like, you know, ripple effects going on there. But then also we had the chief of police for Scotland Police come and see the show. And one of the big messages of that show was about that we're witnesses for each other. And it was about what we hear and feel and see as a community. And after we made the show, they changed the law around policing, because at the time in Scotland, domestic abuse, you could only take a statement from somebody who was the survivor. So it had to have happened to them. But then they changed the law and it made it like it's a community crime. So they could take statements from neighbours, from school teachers, from people in the community. So they kind of changed the definition of how they were approaching domestic abuse. And that came out of, we did the show and then we had these like really amazing post-show discussions afterwards where the literal chief of police was sat there on a panel discussion saying, I think we need to change how we approach policing. So, you know, it was things like that where that's when I think we really saw there's power in theatre. But like Ezra said, it's kind of, there's the big things like that, but then there's also just the soft things that, you know, after we made public interest, everyone went home with an evidence pack which had loads of like facts and figures about what joint enterprise does. And then that could just be on your kitchen table. Someone else picks it up and reads it. I'm also really passionate about press. So for public interest, we were on Channel 4 News, you know, like the special segment. And we were in the Daily Mirror. And that's amazing, again, because you don't know who's reading that. So there'll be some... I'm sure they will have been, I'm 100% sure, because I know how prevalent joint enterprise is. There will have been family members who were experiencing joint enterprise who've only just learned about it, because that's what happens. You only learn about it when your child or family member is charged with it. And then I picked up that paper and thought, oh, this is what's going on. And actually that'll have introduced them to JENGBA, which is the campaigning organisation. Because it's all of these things that are often just not spoken about enough. So the more press you have, someone watches it on Channel 4 News, they ring up their sister and say, oh, we should get in touch with this, or, you know, blah, 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 blah. I think that's, to me, ripples, and it's all quite unseen, but it's also what I meant before about kind of changing the dial a bit, because all of this stuff puts power back to working class people, and it, you know, we should be educated about what's going on. We should know how to question things. We should know how to challenge things. We should know what those mechanisms are. So I think, like, for me, the ripples is all of that. It's like a kind of education project as well.
I think there's something like quite like aspirational as well around like the personal ripples for people, and like we've been doing a lot of work around evaluation and trying to like capture the changes or the big impacts the work has. And I think something I'm feeling like systemically, I think this year after Bradford City of Culture, is that kind of all the years of work we've been doing with communities, I feel like the people we've worked with closely over maybe a longer period of time have had like such nurture and such growth that it's almost like when we're out and about in the community, you know, people we've worked with are becoming the next generation of youth workers, the next generation of young artists, facilitators. Like a boy we were working with on our youth festival this year, last year, he's 14 years old. He's putting on his own gig on the 1 in 12 club with some other artists he met through working with us, you know, like... We used to do BSL lessons with our performance collective. One of those young people now is facilitating BSL in a mosque. And like, I don't know, I think there's something really beautiful actually about like when you look at the people individually, but also as like a wave of like all these little ripples are touching people in different ways. And actually Bradford, as a city of high deprivation, low academic achievement, you know, high levels of unemployment, actually these little impacts are changing the feeling in the city. And actually our young people, our working class communities have higher aspirations. They're really proud of the work they're doing. You know, they want to reach out, they want to make stuff happen. And I feel like it's building, isn't it? And like, yeah, it's the movement, and it's like, I don't know, I love it when we, you know, Brighter Still wasn't a Commonwealth project, but we had a lot of our participants be part of it, and May was the assistant choreographer on it, and it was like, I don't know, just being there and seeing like people that you met like 5 years ago who wouldn't even tell you their name, you know, really take limelight and take power back. I just think there's something really beautiful happening in the city and with people.
Have you worked out exactly what the midpoint is between Cardiff and Bradford? So you'll know exactly when the ripples have met. When you're like, when, where would it be? Like, yeah, I was going to say Birmingham as well. Like, when Birmingham uprises, Commonwealth will be like, we've done it.
Well, we don't want to take up too much of your time because obviously you've got a revolution to create and ripples to make. So we'll ask our final question, which, firstly is to say, please do check out Commonwealth online, because I think that by the book, because I think we've talked about like 1% of this incredible story that you do and the work you do. Can you tell us a piece of music or a song or a banger that you think?
Robin, Dancing on My Own.
Why?
Why? Oh, good question. Because you just sends you off, doesn't it? Like, I think everyone I've ever seen dance to that song just goes into their own little world and literally just dances on their own and like has that moment. Yeah, it's freedom, isn't it?
I'll say We Live Here by Bob Dylan. I just think it's really cheeky and funny and irreverent and a good kind of like, movement builder.
Some Mutts Can't Be Muzzled by Amel and the Sniffers, because we're all bolshy and we have a lot to say.
Mine's just a recent one from last week. It's cheesy, but for Hannah Spencer, The Green, I was listening to Joni Mitchell, Little Green, quite a lot just last week. Little tiny bit of hope.
Just a little bit. You're allowed a little bit of hope. Thank you very much, Commonwealthers.
Somebody said you got a new friend. Does she love you better than I can? It's a big black sky over my town. I know where you at, I bet she's around. Yeah, I know it's stupid, but just gotta see it for myself. I'm in the corner, watching you kiss her. Oh, I'm right over here, why can't you see me? Oh, I'm giving it my all, but I'm not the guy you're taking home. Ooh, I keep dancing on my own. I'm just gonna dance all night. I'm all messed up, I'm so out of line. Stilettos and broken bottles, I'm spinning around in circles. I'm in the corner, watching you kiss her. Oh, I'm right over here, why can't you see me? Oh, I'm giving it my all, but I'm not the guy you're taking home. Ooh, I keep dancing on my own. So far away, but still so near. The lights go on, the music dies, but you don't see me standing here. I just came to say goodbye. I'm in the corner, watching you kiss her. Oh, I'm giving it my all, but I'm not the guy you're taking home. Ooh, I keep dancing on my own. Oh yeah, I'm in the corner, watching you kiss her. Oh, I'm right
area before you come here. Lovely.
Free school dinners for the poor, pizza with a side of misery. Teacher said when I leave, no one here will miss me. Didn't know I was a sinner, but if they say so, well I must be. Big lips, white nose, God knows no one will trust me. Mum don't look like me, but thank God she still loved me. Neighbours called me nigger, told me go back to my own country. Said since we arrived, this place has got so ugly, but this is my fucking country, and it's never been fucking lovely. We live in a pyramid, we live here. We live in a pyramid, we live here. Give it the big and round town, have a drink and puff your chest out. Not a racist, you're just proud. Why should you be left out? The fairies get a march, and the knickknacks get a month. We've got the right to vote, I mean what more could we want? Free to go where I like, if I look like I belong. If not, fuck off, go on boy, move along. Remember Stephen Lawrence, he too was free to roam. 18 years old at the bus stop, murdered on his way home. We live in a pyramid, we live here. We live in a pyramid, we live here. The first time I was called nigger, I was about 7 or 8 years old. I was playing across the street and one of the older kids called me it. I went home for bath time a little later and asked my mum what it meant. My white mum, she told me it was a bad word. We live in a pyramid, we live here. We live in a pyramid, mate, we fucking live here, you cunt.
she will answer to. Call her green, and the winters cannot fade her. Call her green for the children who've made her little green. Be a gypsy dancer. He went to California, hearing that everything's warmer there. So you write him a letter and say her eyes are blue. He sends you a poem and she's lost to you. Little green, he's a non-conformer, just a little green, like the color when the spring is born. There'll be crocuses to bring to school tomorrow, just a little green, like the nights when the northern lights perform. There'll be icicles and birthday clothes, and sometimes there'll be sorrow. Child with a child pretending, weary of lies you are sending home. So you sign all the papers in the family name. You're sad and you're sorry, but you're not ashamed. A little green, have a happy ending. Just a little green, like the color when the spring is born. There'll be crocuses to bring to school tomorrow, just a little green, like the nights when the northern lights perform. There'll be icicles and birthday clothes, and sometimes there'll be sorrow.